Welcome back to Talk Tickers, listeners. Today we're doing a deep dive into Amplitude's Q3 2024 earnings call.
The Amplitude.
Yeah, the digital analytics platform.
Oh, right. They're the ones trying to become like the go-to source for all things customer understanding.
Exactly. And it's a pretty wild market right now. Everything's converging. Product, marketing, analytics, it's all getting mashed together.
Makes sense why they're going for that Swiss Army knife approach, trying to be the one tool that does it all.
Yeah, and they're not messing around. They want to be the dominant force in this space. But first, let's talk numbers. They absolutely smashed their projections for Q3.
Really?
Yeah, revenue's up 6% year over year, strong new customer growth, and they even closed some massive multi-million-dollar deals.
Wow. That's impressive, especially considering the economic climate we're in. Everyone's tightening their belts. Sales cycles are there a lot longer.
Exactly. It's a tough playing field out there. But Amplitude seems to be, they're thriving. So let's break down why they're defying the odds, right? One big thing they keep talking about is their platform approach. And it seems to be really working for them.
Platform approach.
Think about it. You're a business, any business. And you probably got a dozen different tools for tracking, analyzing, you name it, website traffic, user behavior, marketing campaigns, A/B testing. It's overwhelming.
Oh, totally. It's like a data silo nightmare. Information everywhere, but you can't connect the dots.
Exactly. That's where Amplitude comes in. They're saying, hey, we're the one-stop shop. We bring all that data together so you can actually make sense of it and then take action.
It's more than just putting all the data in one place, though, right? It's about making that data actually useful, actionable.
Yeah. Absolutely. And their numbers are backing this up. 23% of their customers are using multiple Amplitude products. They're not just dabbling, they're going all in.
So they're becoming the core platform that businesses rely on, not just another tool they try for a bit and then ditch.
Right. And it's not just small businesses either. Amplitude's landing some really big fish, those enterprise-level clients.
Yeah. And those are the deals that really move the needle.
And those deals are looking different. Faster sales cycles, deeper relationships, more multi-product sales. It's a very deliberate strategic approach.
You can see their win the enterprise focus playing out there. Those big companies, they want solutions, not just Band-Aids.
Right. And now there's been a shift at the top. The CFO, Andrew Casey, he stepped into the CEO role. And his message is pretty clear. Disciplined growth.
Disciplined growth.
Not just chasing revenue for revenue's sake. It's about finding that balance between profitability and expansion.
It's a smart approach, especially right now. Shows they're responsible.
For sure. But speaking of bold moves, we got to talk about their Command AI acquisition. This is a big signal about where they think the future of digital analytics is headed.
Command AI. Remind me.
They're the ones with those in-app guides, the surveys, the AI-powered user assistance stuff.
Oh, right. So they're moving beyond just showing you the data. It's about helping you actually use it to improve the user experience.
Exactly. Instead of just saying, hey, you're losing customers here, they can say, hey, here's how to fix it. Give them personalized nudges, helpful guides, that kind of thing.
Like they're embedding a little helper right into the product. That's pretty clever.
It all feeds into their idea that analytics should be the heart of every workflow that touches customer or product data.
It's ambitious, but they're definitely backing it up with big moves.
And they've got real-world examples, too, not just hypotheticals. Realtor.com, they went all in on Amplitude, consolidated their whole analytics setup onto the platform.
So they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Big time. And there's this global sports organization. They want to hit 100 million paying subscribers. And they chose Amplitude over some of the big legacy marketing tech companies.
Wow, 100 million. That's serious. Shows you they're playing the big leagues now.
Okay, so far it sounds pretty rosy, right? But, we got to acknowledge the challenges too. Churn is still an issue, although it's getting better.
And that macro environment we talked about, it's not going away, especially for those digital native companies. Amplitude's core customer base. Renewals are tougher.
It's an uphill battle for sure. But Spencer Skates, their co-founder and outgoing CEO, he's still bullish on their long-term growth.
That's encouraging. What's their plan, though?
They're investing heavily in product innovation, trying to stay ahead of the curve, grab a bigger piece of this growing market.
That's smart. In a space that's evolving this fast, standing still is basically moving backward.
So we've covered the good, the bad, the vision for the future. But before we go full-on speculative, let's recap the key takeaways.
Right, because there's a lot to unpack here.
Amplitude is playing a smart, strategic game. But they're not immune to the realities of the market. It's a tough environment out there. They've got competition.
Yeah, and their success really hinges on convincing everyone that their platform is the way forward, the future of digital experience.
And so far, it looks like they're making a pretty compelling case. But now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. Time for This Is Not Financial Advice.
All right, let's hear that outrageous but plausible trade idea. What have you got?
Well, we've been talking a lot about this AI-powered user assistance, right? They're betting big on it. This Command AI acquisition, that's a huge sign of how strongly they believe in it.
Right, right. And if they're right, if this really takes off and they become like the platform for creating these seamless, intelligent experiences, we could see massive adoption. And that would send their stock price through the roof.
Exactly. So here's the play, hypothetically speaking. A long-term LEB option strategy on Amplitude.
LEPs, huh? Those are the long-term ones.
Yep, long-term equity anticipation securities. They're like options on steroids. You get the right to buy a ton of stock at a set price, but way further out than regular options. We're talking 12 to 24 months.
So a big bet that their stock price is going to explode over the next couple of years if this whole AI gamble pays off. High risk, high reward.
Exactly. Which is why we always emphasize this is not financial advice. This is just a thought experiment based on what we've seen and heard, not a guarantee.
Of course, of course. Do your own research, people. Talk to your financial advisor, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. You know, investing, it's a bit like navigating a jungle. You really need a good map and a compass. You can't just rely on blind faith.
All right, so before we move on, I want to leave you with something to think about. Imagine Amplitude actually nails this AI integration. They really become the platform that powers all those incredible personalized digital experiences we've been talking about.
It's a pretty exciting thought, isn't it? Where interacting with a website or an app, it actually becomes intuitive, helpful even.
Exactly. So how would that change the way companies build and market their products? How would it change our lives as consumers, constantly interacting with these intelligent systems?
It raises some really interesting questions about the future of, well, the whole digital world and the role companies like Amplitude will play in shaping it.
And speaking of questions, let's jump into some from our listeners. They always have great insights.
All right, fire away. Let's see what's on everyone's mind.
Okay, first up we have @DataDrivenDude on Twitter. They ask, with all this talk about consolidation as building this all-in-one platform, does Amplitude risk spreading itself too thin? Could they end up being a jack of all trades, master of none?
That's a really good question. And it gets to the heart of something a lot of companies struggle with, especially in tech, that balance between specialization and diversification.
It's like trying to be, I don't know, a world-class sprinter, a marathon runner at the same time. Can you really excel at both? Or do you end up compromising?
Right. Amplitude, they need to be careful not to lose sight of what they're already good at, their core strengths. They've got this strong reputation in product analytics. That has to remain the foundation.
But I think they are approaching this expansion with a clear strategy. It's not random.
Yeah.
They're not just acquiring companies or adding features left and right.
They seem to be focusing on areas that really complement what they already have. Things that fit with their vision of being that central hub for all customer and product data.
Exactly. Their acquisitions, like Command AI, they're about filling gaps in their platform, offering a more complete solution, not just chasing the latest trends.
And when you look at the features they're developing, like the web experimentation stuff, it builds on their analytics capabilities. It makes sense for their customers.
And let's not forget, Amplitude has a pretty good track record when it comes to innovation.
Yeah.
They've consistently pushed the boundaries in this space, introduced features that have become, well, kind of industry standard.
Right. So while there's always that risk of spreading yourself too thin, I think Amplitude is taking the right steps to avoid that trap.
They're expanding in a focused way, leveraging their strengths, building on their reputation. All right, let's move on to Sarah, who left us a voicemail. She's curious about Amplitude's focus on the enterprise market.
Ah, the enterprise market. That's where the big money is.
Let's hear what Sarah has to say.
Okay.
Voicemail audio.
Sarah. Hi, this is Sarah calling from Boston. Love the deep dive, as always. I'm really curious about Amplitude's push into the enterprise market. It seems like a good move, but it's also pretty risky. Do you think they can actually compete with the big guys in that space? You know, the Salesforces, the Adobes of the world.
Thanks for the question, Sarah. You're right. Going after the enterprise market it's It's a whole different ballgame. It's high stakes for sure.
Especially when you're up against those giants. Like you said, Salesforce, Adobe, they've got the resources, the relationships, and the brand recognition that's, well, it's tough to beat.
It's like David versus Goliath, right?
Yeah.
But remember, even Goliath had his weaknesses. Okay, that's a good point. And Amplitude does have some advantages. They're more agile, more nimble than those big, slow-moving companies. They can adapt faster. They're not bogged down by bureaucracy.
And their platform approach, that's a big differentiator. Enterprises, they're tired of having to piece together solutions from a bunch of different vendors. Amplitude offers something more streamlined, more integrated.
It's like getting a custom-made suit versus trying to create one yourself from random pieces you found at a thrift store.
Exactly. And Amplitude, they're really focused on delivering value. They're constantly innovating, adding new features that help businesses actually use their data to make decisions. And that's what enterprises want.
And let's not forget, their bread and butter is product analytics. That's where they really shine. And that's something enterprises need help with, understanding how their customers are using their digital products.
So it's a tough market, no doubt. But I think Amplitude has the potential to carve out a good chunk of it. They've got the right product, the right vision, and the right team.
And they're already proving it. Remember those wins we talked about? Realtor.com, that global sports organization, they're making some serious inroads. Okay, our last question comes from John, who emailed us about about the economy.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. Economic downturns can be tough on everyone, but especially in tech.
So John writes, I'm really interested in Amplitude's long-term vision, but I'm also worried about the current economic climate. How do you think they'll fare if things get worse?
That's a great question, John. And, while no business is completely recession-proof, Amplitude does have a few things working in its favor.
For one, they're in a market that's still growing, even during a downturn. Businesses will always need to understand their customers, optimize their digital experiences, especially as more and more things move online.
And their focus on enterprise customers, that could actually help them during a recession. Large companies tend to be a bit more stable, and they're more likely to invest in technology that can help them improve efficiency and, well, make more money.
Right. Amplitude's platform, it helps businesses do more with less. And that's a pretty valuable proposition when everyone's watching their spending.
Another thing that helps is their focus on profitability. The new CEO, Andrew Casey, he's made it clear that they're not just going to burn through cash to grow as fast as possible.
It shows they're thinking long-term, building a sustainable business, not just chasing short-term gains.
Of course, there's no guarantee they'll be totally immune to a recession, but it seems like they're taking the right steps to position themselves for success, even in a tough economy.
They're focused on a growing market. They're targeting enterprise customers. They're committed to profitability. That should help them weather the storm.
They're built to handle some rough seas, so to speak.
All right, that's all the time we have for listener questions today. But keep the conversation going.
We love hearing from you all.
Head over to our website, our social media, whatever you prefer. Let us know your thoughts on Amplitude's earnings call, their future prospects, all that good stuff.
We want to know what insights you've gleaned from this deep dive. Now, before we wrap up this episode of Talk Tickers,
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Rye. This is not financial advice.
a disclaimer's got to be out there. Always. We're just having some fun here.
Exactly. This is all hypothetical. Just exploring some ideas based on what we've learned. Definitely not investment advice.
So what's the outrageous but plausible scenario we're playing with today?
Well, we've been talking a lot about Amplitude and their big bet on AI-powered user assistance, right? That whole idea of making digital experiences more intuitive.
Yeah, the Command AI acquisition was a pretty clear signal that they're all in on that.
And it does make sense when you think about it. What if every website, every app could actually guide you through it, anticipate what you need, answer your questions?
It'd be like having a personal assistant for the digital world. Makes the whole experience a lot less frustrating.
Exactly. So if Amplitude really nails this, if they become the go-to platform for these intelligent, user-friendly experiences, the growth potential is huge.
It could be a game changer for them.
So here's the hypothetical play. And I got to emphasize again, this is hypothetical. A long-term AP option strategy on Amplitude.
LEPs, those are the ones with the long expiration dates, right?
Yep. Long-term equity anticipation securities. They're like, some people call them options on steroids. You get the right to buy a lot of stock in a certain price, but way, way further out than normal options, like 12 to 24 months.
So it's a bet that Amplitude stock is going to really take off in the next couple of years if this whole AI thing works out.
Exactly. High risk, high reward.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
Which is why we always got to say it. This is not financial advice. It's just a thought experiment. Don't base your life savings on it.
Please don't. Do your research, talk to a professional, all that good stuff.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. What if Amplitude's vision actually becomes reality? This whole idea of these super intuitive digital experiences powered by AI. How would that change things?
It'd be a whole different world online, wouldn't it? Websites and apps designed to actually be helpful.
Yeah. Would it make us more efficient, more productive? Would we become even more reliant on technology? Or would it just make our online lives, I don't know, more enjoyable?
It's a future with a lot of possibilities, but also maybe some downsides we haven't even thought of yet.
And Amplitude, they're right there at the forefront, shaping that future.
It's exciting to watch.
That's what makes covering companies like this so interesting, right? It's like getting a glimpse into what might be.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe one day we'll look back and say, hey, remember that Talk Tickers episode where we talked about Amplitude? We were there at the beginning.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Amplitude's Q3 2024 earnings call.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep tuning in to Talk Tickers, your source for all things earnings calls.